Mayor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And again, as Mary takes that role on, just a reminder to the audience as well as the board, we have a policy where we roll alphabetically through last names for trustees to serve in that capacity when the mayor is not available. So there's no other than alphabetical to do that. So Mary, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Am I on?
So Jesse, yeah, you get to do that too when your time comes.
Just wait. All right, our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance, and I think we're just all going to say it together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everyone. Welcome to the meeting tonight. Our first order of business will be to approve the minutes of the past meeting. Can I get a motion from someone?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Can we get a roll call?
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Goldstone.
Yes.
Trustee Greenberg.
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby.
Yes.
And Trustee Oppenheim.
Yes. The motion passes. Our next order of business is to approve the bills and payroll, and I would mention to my colleagues, they'll note that we do have two sets of bills and payroll in our board packet because we had a little glitch last time. But the bill list that we're voting on tonight is the one dated July 7th.
That's right.
So if I could get a motion on that, or if anyone has any questions.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve bills and payroll for July 7th.
You need to take a roll call vote on that.
Yep, I do. Can I get a roll call, David?
Trustee Goldstone.
Yes.
Trustee Greenberg.
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby.
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Yes.
And Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much. Our next order of business is public comment. We only have one person signed in on a non-agenda item. That it would be no one signed in for agenda items. So, the Tracy Merrill, would you like to come up and speak?
Hello, I'm Tracy Merrill. I'm a resident of Deerfield. I live at 315 Forsythia Drive. I'm here tonight to ask some direct and very important questions. How are residents supposed to engage with you, directly engage with you?
You're here. Please speak.
Ask questions and have discussion with you. How am I supposed to do that?
Well, you're here now. Let's hear your questions.
So if it's through these village meetings, why don't you answer residents' questions directly or their requests?
Well, it's our practice to listen, to consider, not to have an argument, not to waste time that way. And if there's some way that we can respond by utilizing village services to answer that question, we will do so. This is not, we feel, a forum for bickering or for debate. We're here to hear your concerns. We will consider them. We always listen. Sometimes the answer is no.
So despite it being no, I attended 6 village meetings and I wrote 9 emails to the board and the mayor, yet I only received 1 reply, and that was to a commentary that I submitted on a non-agenda item when I wasn't even present to hear the feedback. So how do you believe residents can have faith in their leaders when there is little to no interaction with them? especially when decisions have direct impacts on their lives and their homes and their families. So I'd also like to ask, does the village board or the mayor conduct any form of self-review or performance review to assess your effectiveness as leaders?
We certainly do.
And how do you know if your effectiveness in representing us? And do you share those evaluations with the greater public?
Not per se.
Why not?
I also think part of the response that you got from staff was that individual trustees cannot respond pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act and how they consider issues. They cannot collectively respond to you via email without violating that act.
Right.
And that's why staff encourage you to come to this meeting tonight and ask questions. But there's also things that this board cannot answer because it's a violation of that.
So again, how are residents supposed to have effective dialogue with you? As representatives of us in the community, how are we supposed to have effective dialogue if I'm just up here talking and you provide no feedback other than a yes or a no?
Well,
How am I supposed
staff
to have
has responded
discussion?
to you many, many times, and the board has received those communications. Correct or not?
I've received staff responses, but I'm addressing
So
the
the
board and the mayor.
But the board has received those correspondence and received the copies of those.
That's just concealing and letting somebody else.
It's not concealing. It's
cover
what we
up.
have to do according
Okay,
to the Freedom of
okay.
Information Act.
That's up for debate.
That's not up for
So
debate.
I will tell you, I've
not.
reviewed. I'll tell you, I've reviewed a whole year of your meeting minutes, and it's very troubling that Deerfield has a 100% approval rate of agenda items. And I've done a comparative governance practice to Highland Park, for example. And they have only approved 95% of their items. However, 86% were passed without substantial debate here. And in comparison, Highland Park has 85% passed without debate, meaning that they discuss or challenge items nearly 15% of the time. How are you evaluating yourselves during this review process? I'm asking these tough questions because I care about my community and I care about how I've been treated by this board and by the mayor. That's why I'm asking these tough questions. And maybe it comes off as being combative, but I actually care.
Thank you, Tracy.
So I'm up here asking these tough questions because
Okay.
I think that the leadership needs to have more effective communication with its people when I come up here and I bring a significant issue before the board.
Thank you, Tracy. You're past your 3-minute time limit. I am not going to apologize to you for not comparing ourselves to Highland Park. We are not Highland Park. We are Deerfield. If we agree with each other at the board table, at the board level, that just means that we've worked through the issues ahead of time and we share an opinion. And we value each other's positions and value each other's positions enough that we respect our differences, yet we can still come to a collaborative result, a collaborative answer. So I absolutely will not apologize to you that
I'm
you
not
don't
asking
see
for an apology.
arguing or bickering or disagreement at this board table. Our goal is to move forward with effective and efficient government, and we believe that we do that. We are aware that you personally have an agenda and you have a bone to pick with the board and with the village regarding construction near your home. We feel that the village, that all of our staff has bent over backwards to accommodate you, to give you all kinds of special consideration. If you've got some issues with the builder, you need to talk to the builder. He has made accommodations for you as well.
I've been told not to
Your
talk to the builder and
sense-
to go through the city.
Your sense
Mixed messaging
of
here.
entitlement
Oh, wow.
has skewed your perception of this situation.
My
The
entitlement. You're supposed to be leading this city
We are leading, and we are leading for
and
the
caring about
majority.
the people that are being dramatically affected
We
by things that you're
absolutely
approving.
care about our residents, and we care about the high-quality housing that's going to be added in our community that's very necessary. So we are sorry you have issues. If you do, continue to work with the staff. They are bending over backwards. They have accommodated you with all kinds of special consideration,
None.
and we will continue to do that. But coming in
Right,
here
you-
and yelling at us is not productive.
I'm not yelling.
Your time is up.
Your time is way up.
I asked pointed questions.
And we
I'm
answered.
sorry that you don't like that either, but I am here asking pointed questions because I have not been able to have any form of dialogue with you.
Well, this is not the kind of dialogue we consider productive.
Just because you don't like what I'm saying doesn't mean that
that's
it's
not
not
true.
productive.
That's not
It
I'm
doesn't
asking
matter
pointed
whether I like
questions
it or not.
because
There are
I
facts
expect
and we're
that the
dealing with
leaders
them.
of this city need to be better leaders than what I've seen.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
We have an election every 2 years for seats on the board.
All of those were uncontested.
Is he?
I have 3
Excuse
minutes.
me?
So you need to identify yourself.
Yeah,
and
my
yes,
name,
you
my
have
name
an
is
opportunity.
my name is Tarek Estradi, and I live at the 315 Forsythia Drive. I think you have no idea, and you can't imagine the hustle that we go through every day. Your decision of approving this
Reset the timer, be reset,
this
please.
this
Reset the timer,
this
guys.
this whole process causes a lot of issues, a lot of damage, and I don't think you understand that because you don't live next to it every day. You don't have the vibration on your home. You don't have debris. You don't have people hanging around in your backyard doing things without calling you. There is no privacy in your. You don't understand that. The fact that you are coming at us like we are crazy people asking for those things, it says a lot about you, first of all. And this is not the first time we have issue with you specifically because you just don't care. We understand that. And you can laugh about it. It's so oblivious how you people run the city. You don't really care about anyone. We have to face these things every day. We have to live through it. So if we come here and we voice our concerns, you have to listen to it.
And we are listening.
No, you're not. You're not listening to it. You're not listening to it. We've provided you
Yes,
with
we do.
everything from this last. We don't get any answers from you. So today we're coming here to tell you that what you did sucks to us and to everyone. Like, it sucks. And you
Hey,
can laugh.
Right now, you're being disrespectful, and I'm going to have you kicked out of the meeting now. Be
that's-
careful.
Yeah, I mean, what are you
Don't
going to
say
do?
suck. Don't
And
curse.
well, the fact that she's laughing, she is being so mean to us, that's not disrespectful. That is not disrespectful. The fact that she's laughing, that's not disrespectful.
I'm laughing because you
I
assumed
don't-
that I
I'm
did
talking
not
to-
read your reports, your letters, your
This
emails.
is
I have
is
read
outrageous.
every
What you guys
single
doing today is so
word.
outrageous.
Please sit down.
I can't stand up.
Please sit down. If I could, if I could address, the house next to me was torn down.
It
And a
doesn't-
new house was built. I am aware.
We have
Excuse
42
me, let me
houses.
talk now.
Next door.
Well-
we have people walking around at like 7:30, walking back
Yep.
in my backyard.
Yep.
We
Happened
have
to me.
we have debris. We have vibration in the house.
Yep.
In the,
I
so
absolutely,
you don't have that.
I absolutely did. I lived through it.
One house compared to 42 for like 3 years. We're gonna have to go through this every
I'm
day.
very sorry that you feel inconvenienced.
Well,
But-
you said it. That would have been a better answer for her. We're sorry, then I'm not going to apologize and the fact that you reacted. That would have been a better answer. I would have left. I wouldn't have come here and talk because you have no empathy whatsoever.
Let me tell you, all the letters that you have written to the village have called us names. We've been called incompetent. We have been called corrupt. We have been accused of having some kind of quid pro quo from this project, none of which is true. How do we respond to that kind of nastiness? We just simply have chosen not to, because there is no response for that. All I can say is I hope that when the new people move into these new homes that will be in your neighborhood, you are nicer to them than you have been to us.
Well, you guys, you've not been nice to us at all. And we're just giving back what you guys give us for the whole, like,
Your time is
1
up.
year.
Leadership. We're asking for more effective leadership. That's why we're asking these questions.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? No. Hearing that, we'll move on to reports. Our first report, 2552, is consideration and action on the Plan Commission recommendation on the request for an amendment for a sign plan, including necessary exceptions involving Amgen and Fortune Brands. Ken?
Earlier this year, Fortune Brands announced it would consolidate its U.S. offices into a single global headquarters in Deerfield, ultimately occupying 2 of the 3 buildings located at One Horizon Way campus in Deerfield. Amgen, which owns and currently occupies the Horizon campus, will continue to occupy 1 building. Because the property will be occupied by 2 companies, Amgen and Fortune Brands are seeking to amend their previously approved sign plan for the campus. The updated signage will indicate the portions of the campus that will be occupied by Amgen and Fortune Brands so that visitors and employees can navigate the campus effectively. The petitioner signage plan includes the Fortune Brands signage added to the existing pylon sign along the tollway, 3 existing monument signs, and wall signage. The Plan Commission held a public hearing on June 12, 2025, and is recommending approval of this request. Representatives of Fortune Brands are here tonight, as is Plan Commission Chair Al Bromberg, in case you have questions for them. So I would suggest that maybe a presentation from the petitioners would be in order, just to summarize the proposal, and then the board can consider their review.
Good evening. My name is Kate Duncan, and I'm an attorney with Quarles & Brady in Chicago. I represent the applicant, Fortune Brands Innovations, in connection with the proposed signage plan before you tonight. Actually, Mr. Street did a very nice job summarizing what I was just about to say, so I would just like to introduce Ms. Lisa Head to give you a little information about Fortune Brands and their plans.
Hi there. My name is Lisa Head, and I serve as Director of Global Real Estate for Fortune Brands Innovations. Fortune Brands is an industry-leading innovation company focused on home products, security, and commercial building markets. Our portfolio features many well-known household brands, including Moen kitchens and bath fixtures, Master Lock padlocks, Century Safe, House of Roll luxury kitchen and bath fixtures, Therma-Tru doors, Fiberon composite decking, Yale Residential, among others. Over the last 2 decades, Fortune Brands has maintained an office in Deerfield at 520 Lake Cook Road, where over 300 employees are currently based, a remarkable increase in local jobs from 120 employees just a few months ago. Recently, Fortune Brands made the strategic decision to consolidate its U.S. regional offices into 1 global headquarters. After extensive research, the data indicated Chicago as a top contender. Making Deerfield home to our global headquarters made sense, and we chose the office building at the corner of Lake Cook and Saunders Roads. The space, currently occupied by Amgen, was previously home to Horizon and Takeda Pharmaceuticals. By the end of 2027, Fortune Brands anticipates having close to 1,000 associates at its new global headquarters, with extensive hiring efforts already underway. We are thrilled to make such a significant investment in Deerfield and in this property, and to partner with Amgen. As we transition into our new headquarters, 2 companies, Amgen and Fortune Brands, will occupy the building. This will be the first time since the building was constructed that more than 1 company will occupy the site. To ensure Fortune Brands is appropriately recognized as an occupant, we are requesting appropriate signage so employees, visitors, and business partners from around the world can easily locate our office. While developing our signage proposal, we were mindful of Amgen's existing signage, as Amgen will remain a co-occupant. To ensure continuity and thoughtful design, we collaborated with Katie Conroy of PSCO Kiefer, who's with us here tonight, the same firm responsible for installing Horizon Pharmaceuticals' previous signs and Amgen's current signage. With careful planning, we have developed the signage concept before you today. We believe these signs will provide clear recognition of Fortune Brands as a key tenant while complementing the existing signage. Fortune Brands is deeply excited to grow its presence in Deerfield, and we appreciate your consideration of our proposal. Thank you for your time and thoughtful review.
We have a short PowerPoint presentation to just run through the signs if you'd like to see each one.
Sure.
I have it on the screen in front of me. I'm not sure if you all can see it in front of you.
No.
Now we can see it on our monitors.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Everyone can see it. So this is the site plan.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's a little small, and it might be hard to make out, but there are little circles, red circles and arrows where each of the different signs will be located within the site plan. So the first sign we're going to show you is actually the pylon sign that's along the interstate. This sign is going to add the Fortune brand signage under the existing Amgen sign that's there, and it requires an exception to the code because the name of only one tenant is allowed on each ground sign. And so because we're adding a second tenant name, we need to have an exception. These two signs, well, this one sign is on the south elevation of the building. So if you're on Lake Cook and you're looking at the building, this will go at the very corner. There's an existing Amgen sign up there now, and this will replace that existing Amgen sign. So it's slightly larger than the existing Amgen sign because the scaling of the Fortune Brands lettering and logo just needs to sort of accommodate that. The sign requires an exception because it is 198.5 square feet and the maximum size allowed is 121 square feet. So that's the reason for the exception there. This next sign is along Lake Cook Road. It's a ground sign as you're going into the campus. So if you're driving along Lake Cook Road and you're trying to turn into the campus, you'll encounter this sign. There is an existing Amgen sign there now. We're just going to place the Fortune brand sign next to it. Actually, we have to remove the existing Amgen sign and do two new signs because just to make sure that the structure fits within the existing structure that's there.
The structure is not changing.
The structure is not changing. It's just two new signs on the same structure. That's right. And again, the reason for the exception is because the name of only one tenant is allowed, and we will now have two tenants on there. This sign is along Saunders Road. It's the same sign really as the one that's off of Lake Cook, only as you're coming into the campus from Saunders Road, it's a similar sign. Again, we need to have the exception because only one tenant name is allowed. And then this is at the corner of Saunders and Lake Cook, this sign, and this one will actually not change at all. It will just have the additional sign for Fortune Brands put right next to the existing Amgen sign. And again, an exception is needed because two tenants now. And then this is a little sign that's over the door, the entryway. There's an existing Amgen sign there. We are going to scooch that over just a little bit and put the Fortune Brands sign there. And we need the exception because only one tenant name is allowed. And also this one also needs an exception for the square footage. I think the total square footage that's allowed over the door is only 5 square feet, and will now be a total of 31.11 square feet. So to wrap up here tonight, we are seeking your approval of the amendment to the sign plan for One Horizon Parkway, including necessary and minor exceptions. This matter was before the Plan Commission on June 12th, and we received recommendation for approval from the Plan Commission. The village's zoning ordinance provides that sign exceptions are appropriate upon recommendation of the Plan Commission and approval of the village board because of the unique nature of plan developments in the I-1 district. The property here is a planned development in the I-1 district, and each of the proposed signs is necessary and incidental to the permitted office use. We believe the proposed signs are reasonable and appropriate. The approximately 70-acre campus has 3 office buildings, which are all multi-story buildings, so the proposed signs are appropriate and reasonable in connection with the size of the buildings in the campus. With employees and visitors navigating among the 3 buildings, parking and loading, the additional signs are important for wayfinding within the campus. The campus is situated along a developed commercial corridor where it's not uncommon for large office buildings to display illuminated wall signs, ground signs, monument signs, and directional signs. The proposed signs have been well designed by PSCO Sign Group, which is a professional sign company with extensive experience designing signage that has previously been approved by the village, including Amgen's existing signs and Fortune brand signs at its current headquarters. Fortune brand signs have been designed to be consistent with Amgen's existing signage to the greatest extent possible. Fortune brand's color palette is similar to Amgen's color palette. The Southeast Tower wall sign has been designed to contain lettering that's flush mount to the building that's very similar to the way Amgen's lettering is today. Where Fortune brand signs will be added to existing monument signs and ground signs, care has been taken to ensure that Amgen and Fortune brand signs are equal in size, resulting in professional, consistent appearance. In the interest of sustainability, illuminated signs will utilize LED lights, and new signs will all be mounted to existing cabinets and panels so that there's reuse of those materials. The proposed signs are consistent with the planned unit development standards adopted for the property. Chapter 9.02C PUD of the zoning ordinance contemplates that industrial plan unit developments may be occupied by multiple businesses and that additional signage may be necessary to accommodate multiple occupants. And so since that section authorizes it, it authorizes additional ground signs, including the name and type of the business of each occupant of the planned unit development. The proposed signs maintain a high-quality standard of appearance and are similar in scope and character to Amgen's existing signs. Character and scope of the proposed signs are consistent with the signage that exists for similar multi-use commercial and industrial developments within the village. And so with that, we would like to thank you for the opportunity to make our presentation on this matter tonight, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
That's great. I see we have representatives of the Plan Commission here with us. Al, Dan, any comments? No? It's funny, I was on the Plan Commission when we first did the signage for Takeda, which started out the first tenant of the building, and at one point we approved the signs and we came back and we thought they were too small, the ones that were on the tollway, because you couldn't actually see the sign. The building scale is such and the placement is such that, to me, this makes total sense. So do my colleagues have any questions?
Nope. I have
Not
none.
that we need to agree about it.
Just a comment.
Yes, Jesse.
Want to thank Fortune Brands for continuing to choose Deerfield and investing in that property. I fully support the changes that we're making and the recognition, obviously, for your presence in that building over the long term. We really appreciate it, and absolutely appreciate your sponsorship of Family Days this past weekend. It was a very special day for the community, and really look forward to having Fortune continue to be partners with us in various community endeavors. And if we can be helpful in partnering with you and helping to direct, where you guys want to be involved, well, we'd love to do that. Thanks.
Awesome.
I have a kind of an interesting comment. It deals with friends of ours that live in the residential district on the other side of Lake Cook Road and just west of the I don't know whether it's a convalescent or whatever, but when the signs went up on the 3 units, they weren't particularly concerned, except the one in the middle, which had a sign at that point up over the entrance. They were very upset because it was so bright and it was interfering with what they said was their area. And they talked to us, to me in particular, and I said, you're not in Deerfield, you're in Northbrook. We have no jurisdiction over Northbrook and their objections and so forth. And they kind of swallowed hard and took it, but they are delighted with the signs now that are in, because now they're very muted, they look good, and we're very good in their eyes. Not that that matters, but I wanted to tell you that because it's nice having people who are pleased with what we're doing, even if they're not in the village.
And we're thrilled to have the whole campus filled.
Yes.
Yeah.
To have all 3 buildings utilized. So I think I speak for all of us when I say we're very happy to have the wedding, if you will, of Fortune and Amgen in our community. So if there are no further questions, I would entertain a motion to accept the report.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the report, and we
Direct
need
the
a
attorney
roll
to
call.
prepare the ordinance
Yes.
for consideration tonight.
I
What
will
he
move.
said. Okay, so we will need a roll call, David.
Trustee Greenberg.
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby.
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Yes.
Trustee Benton.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
And Trustee Goldstone.
Yes.
Excellent. Gotcha. Thank you.
And we will have an ordinance at the next meeting.
Yep. Terrific. Thank you. Thank everyone for all their effort on this. On our consent agenda tonight, we have 3 items. I'm going to read them, and then we will take a vote. The first one, 25-55, is a resolution authorizing a grant to the Lake County Convention and Visitor Bureau. This is something we do every year. Number 25-58, resolution approving a restated village manager employment agreement. Item 25-54 is an ordinance authorizing vacating an existing storm sewer easement and accepting a new utility easement at the Springs at Lake Cook Crossing residential development, which belongs to Continental Properties. So if we have no questions on that, I would ask for a motion to approve or deny the consent agenda.
I move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. So we will need another roll call. David?
Trustee Jacoby.
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Yep.
Trustee Benton.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Goldstone.
Yes.
And Trustee Greenberg.
Yes.
Thank you. Under old business, we have a pretty exciting resolution coming up tonight. A resolution waiving competitive bidding and approving an agreement with Verigy Central, LLC, for the purchase and installation of an array of solar panels. Andrew.
Thank you. It was in the fall of last year that this board first considered this project to install solar panels at the village's wastewater treatment plant. The staff and the village board held committee of the whole meetings in October and then again in December. At those meetings, staff presented very detailed analysis of the proposed project. Verigy representatives were here also as well, and they're here again tonight to speak to the project. I would say during those committee of the whole meetings, there was a lot of questions from the village board. Yep. This project was challenged quite strongly, I would say, in terms of different models that we could review. And so following those committee of the whole meetings, staff did review alternative models, did obtain over a dozen different quotes. We compared general contracting models to, as well as a power purchase agreement model, ultimately to the model that we're looking at today, which is the performance contracting model. And so after that whole exercise, staff appeared before the village board again in January of this year. And at that time, the village board authorized the village manager to execute the letter of intent with Verigy LLC to pursue this performance contracting model. After the execution of that letter of intent, Verigy did their field work and their engineering assessment. They have now confirmed the feasibility of the project. They have done the engineering design for the project, and we are at the point where we can either obtain those engineering reports and put the project on a shelf, or we can choose to move forward with the project as proposed. Since the engineering assessment was concluded, the economics for this project have actually become slightly more favorable. So the incentives got a little bit better to the tune of about $40,000. But in the end, what's being proposed is that the project cost is just about $2.2 million. The net project cost after all the incentives are received back to the village would be $642,306. That's an 11-year return on investment and a 20-year net positive cash flow of over $1.1 million. In addition, this project is consistent with the policy objectives outlined in the village's climate action report. Electricity is 35% of the overall greenhouse gas emissions. That's the single largest source of GHG emissions. The wastewater treatment plant is the largest user of electricity that the village owns and operates. And the specific goal in the plan is to convert 100% of electricity to renewable sources by 2030. So that was really the impetus for staff pursuing and looking into the feasibility of this project. So what we have is the contract that's been reviewed by both the attorneys, the Verigy attorney, the village attorney as well. The project would offset about 23% of the electricity consumption at the wastewater treatment plant. The incentives are very heavily front-loaded, so the village would receive over $1 million in incentives back within the first 3 years of the project. And if the project were approved tonight, the Verigy team would order the panels, they're domestic panels, so they're here made in the USA. They would mobilize right away, and we have anticipated completion before the end of this year.
Wow.
We also have Jeremy here with us from Verigy to speak to any technical engineering questions should we have questions to that effect. Happy to answer anything else.
Let me ask you about the incentives, the status of the incentives at this point?
Given federal changes potentially, yeah.
Are they going away? Are we pretty confident that?
Yeah, we
Please.
can have Jeremy speak to that.
I think
as
that's
well.
something we're all thinking about.
Yep. And that's part of us wanting to move forward. You know, if there's going to be a decision to
Yes.
move forward, it's important that we do that in a timely
Yes.
fashion, but absolutely.
So as it stands now, Wednesday when they were doing final approvals in the Senate, they did attach an amendment to the reconciliation bill that will pause the excise tax that they were going to add to renewables until 2028, and then it also kept in place the IRA, which is the bulk of the incentives you're going to see on this project. For any project that starts in 26, between now and 26, and is completed by 27, those incentives will remain in place. However, there is, starting next year, what they're calling a haircut or a trim on that if you don't meet the domestic content requirements, which right now your project does. Yeah, that was our design intent. But that could be as much as 30% of a cut if we don't meet those domestic requirements.
But that wouldn't apply to us because
that
we
won't
are
apply to you.
right.
Yeah. And then also going into next year, which this won't apply to you either, is the FEOC requirements where we're still working through the language on that. But again, that won't take effect until 26.
But our timing at this point is optimal
Yes.
to still receive all of the incentives that were in place,
Correct.
regardless of
Yes.
what happens politically going forward.
Yeah, the bill has been sent by House Senate President, and that amendment was intact when it was in final reconciliation with the House.
Okay.
And
Thank
went to
you.
the President's desk and hasn't since been touched.
Thank you.
And I think to the board's credit, domestic content was certainly the correct choice. So we benefit certainly from that decision as well.
Other questions? We have gone over this and over this. This is something we have really worked on and considered, and I'm absolutely thrilled that we're able to move forward with this and that the economics of it have turned out even better than we thought, that the payback comes sooner, and the fact that we have the space to do this, that we actually have the opportunity, I think we're very fortunate. So if there are no other questions, I would entertain a motion for approval of a resolution waiving competitive bidding and approving the agreement with Verigy Central for the purchase and installation of the solar array.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We will need a roll call.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Yes.
Trustee Benton.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Goldstone.
Yes.
Trustee Greenberg.
Yes.
And Trustee Jacoby.
Yes.
The resolution passes, and I think we're all very excited. This is a good first step.
Let's get it built. Let's
A
go.
great step, and we need to move forward on this. What is our timing on this?
End of the year? End of the year time?
Be done by the end of the year. Product will be ordered right away. We believe they'll be mobilized no later than September.
Okay,
Maybe even
okay,
sooner.
that's
We look
amazing.
forward to
Yeah.
providing the board with monthly or 6-week, whenever those appropriate milestone updates are provided. So
And you'll be working with the public works staff and
of course.
Just what they need.
Yep.
yeah, one more thing for
One more
public
thing
works
Bob
to
Phillips
do.
needs.
So, thank you. Okay, that's exciting. Excellent. All right, under new business, we have a resolution approving a building and construction fee exemption and rebate agreement with Fortune Brands Innovations, Inc.
Thank you.
Andrew.
As this board is well aware, Fortune Brands is consolidating its U.S. offices into One Horizon Way. They'll be occupying and leasing 350,000 square feet in 2 of the 3 towers out at the property. Amgen, of course, occupies the other tower. With this move, they'll be retaining 133 existing jobs in the village of Deerfield. They'll be adding over 400 jobs. The latest news reports that I've heard was up to potentially even 800 jobs by the end of 2027. So a significant amount of employment and tax revenue and consumer spending that comes with that. In addition, they will be doing over $11 million of private investment in the building to improve it for their campus and their employees. An important part of that decision to relocate to Deerfield was consideration of this type of rebate agreement. I should say that this agreement is very similar to the agreement that we had approved with Takeda when they first came in and built the campus. Some of the high-level terms of that agreement include that the village would waive its infrastructure impact fee. So importantly here, that is a fee that's charged on building permits, demolition permits, to pay for village roads. And in this case, to access the campus, you don't need to utilize any village roadways.
And they're not adding square footage either.
And they're not adding square footage, correct. So that's actually a pretty customary fee to waive given their geographic location off of Lake Cook and Saunders Road, and it's not village road. So the largest percentage of the rebate here, actually 63% of that rebate, is tied to that infrastructure impact fee waiver, which again is rather customary because they're not on village roads. In addition to that, there's no permit fee reductions for the first $6 million of construction. It's between $6 million and $10 million of construction that they would receive 25% off the permit fees. They would receive then 50% reduction, anything in excess of $10 million. With that said, they also do need to pay direct costs to us if there's direct costs for inspectors or if there's a third-party vendor that we would utilize, then they would have to pay those at our actual costs. Those are the high-level terms. I guess I should add that they do have to occupy the campus for at least 5 years, or there's a clawback that they would have to, a tiered clawback they'd have to pay to us. And then this agreement would be in place for 48 months, meaning that the reduction in permit fees is available to them for the next 48 months, retroactive to March 1st of this year when we receive their first permit for building, because they're already beginning the building improvements out there, actually.
So, questions for Andrew?
Well, not so much a question, but I recognize this is a competitive business environment. This is somewhat of an uncertain economy, and the tools that we have to attract businesses like Fortune, I think this is a very fair and reasonable economic incentive package that we can offer with the proper protections for taxpayers here, and I'm wholeheartedly supportive. And it's great to see that campus fill up and the business activity and all the jobs that are coming with it. I think it's a great thing.
And let's also remember this is packaged with state incentives, county incentives, village incentives. So there's a team effort here to try and work to help them reinvest and appreciated by us. Everybody wins. This isn't anybody over-sacrificing, but it's a terrific opportunity for us to retain a terrific employer, attract new corporate employees to our area, and do a lot of really good investment for us, and appreciate the work that Amgen and Fortune did. This is not it's that team together, along with Lake County Partners, the state of Illinois, and the village and the mayor's office working on it.
I do have one question. Do we know about what that number is in terms of what we're waiving?
Yeah, on the $11 million, it's $91,000 in waivers. Now, of that, $58,000 of $91,000 is the infrastructure replacement fund for not using our roads.
Right. Which they wouldn't be doing anyway.
Right, which we would. It's in a fairness test. It does make sense to waive that anyhow. So it's that $32,850 is the balance that's coming directly that otherwise would have been received from the building permit itself.
Okay, that's what I
so
wanted
that's
to know.
that's the numbers we're talking about, and they may do more improvements. This is just the first phase. There could be more, but we know it's north of $11 million currently.
Okay.
And this is one of the few ways we can support that.
No, I was just trying to understand. There's a lot of numbers going on.
Right.
I just wanted to kind of understand it. I'm fully supportive. That was not reason for the question.
Cool. Any other questions for Andrew? In that case, is there someone who wants to make a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, a second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve a building and construction fee exemption and rebate agreement with Fortune Brands. We need a roll call. David.
Trustee Benton.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Goldstone.
Yes.
Trustee Greenberg.
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby.
Yes.
And Trustee Oppenheim.
Yes. Very good. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, guys. Welcome.
Yes. All right, our next order of business is an ordinance amending Chapter 2 of the Village Code to establish an administrative process for determining eligibility of qualified applicants for benefits under the Public Safety Employee Benefits Act. Desiree.
Yes, hi, good evening.
Welcome.
So the state law provides fully paid benefits to officers who have suffered both a catastrophic injury, also in the line of duty. So it's a two-pronged approach. They have to fulfill that. We recently were speaking with the labor attorney, John Murphy, who encouraged us to have a formal written procedure to kind of run through this process so that if we ever have a situation where those two items are kind of gray or it's unclear, then we have a formal policy to follow. So how this will work then is that a officer to be considered would complete submit an application, and that goes to the village manager. Any supporting documentation that they have would be taken into consideration at that time. If eligibility is very clear, it's black and white, the village manager as designee has the ability to approve those benefits, and we move forward with that decision. If eligibility is unclear, or if the village manager determines that they are not eligible for those benefits, then this would be referred to the adjudication process that we have. So the process would allow the applicants to be represented by an attorney. They can subpoena documents, witnesses, and have kind of a fair trial, a fair decision-making process there. So this would be more efficient. We have a third party making that decision. It doesn't fall on staff, so everything could be considered, and feel that then that would be the proper way to run through these procedures.
So basically, we still have the same procedure, essentially the beginning of it, that we have now. We're simply appending the administrative hearing process to it in case there's a question.
Correct. So that if there's anything unclear or we need proper legal advice with a professional opinion, it's not staff making that decision.
Right.
So in the past, we've had people with potentially a pre-existing physical condition that may have been augmented by an on-service activity. So how do you factor that in? And John Murphy is just saying, if you have a clear process, and Ben helped us with that, then everybody knows what that looks like in presenting evidence, and everybody gets their chance at legal representation, which is really important in that. So staff strongly supports this recommendation from our counsel, Murphy. And now Ben can speak to it too.
Now that we have that administrative hearing process, it's great to put as much as we can in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's really about filling gaps that the statute requires PSEBA benefits to be given to those who qualify, but doesn't say anything really about the process of how you qualify. So in the past, a lot of it's been done through court. The employee says, I think I'm entitled to benefits, and the municipality can say, we have some concerns with your claims. And both parties in the end are often left in a worse position because then they end up going through a protracted and costly court process. Right. And this allows for clear rules so the employee knows and doesn't lose their rights, and a way to adjudicate it in an efficient way that it's beneficial for the employee and for us. And it doesn't mean that if they get to the end of the administrative hearing process and they're denied, they don't have rights to challenge in court, but hopefully those issues are resolved. And so we have the administrative hearing process so we can, use it in an efficient manner. It should be a win-win.
Absolutely.
I think it's a great idea, but one question, would a non-prevailing party at the administrative hearing process still be able to petition the circuit court for relief?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. They absolutely would, and it would go before the court, and they would have a right to go all the way up to the Supreme Court if they so desired, challenging their eligibility for the benefit. And also put it in perspective, I mean, these can be very expensive benefits, and ones that are meaningful to employees. And also, it's important for the village to make sure that it goes to only those who are truly entitled, because it's a big expense. So everybody's protected along the way. It just provides a system by which to administer it, where really the act has failed to provide how that works.
So essentially, if an employee gets injured on duty or is tragically, this provides for health insurance for life for the family. So that on duty, and there's absolutely no disagreement with that. It's just making sure that all that stuff is really organized and well assessed. That's part of it.
I had one question, and maybe it's written to be more flexible, but my only question was when I was reading the proposed language in the act, why wouldn't we say that it's the same adjudication or the administrative judge that is already chosen for our process? Instead, it said that it was going to be appointed by the mayor. And so my question was, since we have that process and this is kind of being added to that, why wouldn't we just say that?
I think my answer would be is if our adjudication judge is not expertise or experienced in that particular piece of it, I'd like to pull somebody in that really does a PSEBA hearing.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean our guy isn't. On the other hand, I think we'd all be well served by somebody who's got an experience in that. But and Ben, that's my answer. I don't know if
No,
you.
I think that's right, and there may be also other various reasons that the typical hearing officer may not be able to hear it for conflicts or whatever it's going to be. So it provides flexibility. So I think the intent.
But the deference would be to go to our administrative guy
first.
But if that person doesn't have or feels, and we have communication, Kent, I really don't think I'm the guy to do this. I think you want to give us the flexibility to say, let's bring in Judge X, who's the guy in that field.
Just for that issue.
Particular case,
and
right.
we wouldn't be getting rid of our.
But I think the deference
hearings.
is go to our hearing officer unless he tells me, Kent, I think you got to get somebody in here, and I want to be able to.
I understand.
Bring that
I was just thinking streamlining would be easier. But I understand.
Makes sense. Any other questions? There being none, have someone got prepared to make a motion to accept or deny the ordinance?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the ordinance amending Chapter 2 of the Village Code to establish an administrative process for determining eligibility of qualified applicants for PSEBA. David?
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Goldstone.
Yes.
Trustee Greenberg.
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby.
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Yes.
And Trustee Benton.
Yes.
Okay,
Mayor,
motion
I really
passed.
want to thank our labor attorney, John Murphy, for bringing this to our attention and making this recommendation, and thank Ben and his team for evaluating it. Just trying to cover the gaps. Awesome.
No, I think it's great. And now that we have this new process, the more we can plug all of our systems into it, the better off we are. So I think it's terrific. So, all right, our next order of business is a resolution approving Deerfield Road Pumping Station MCC. I don't know if you're going to have an MC there, whatever. Replacement engineering services. Brandon.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The Deerfield Road Pumping Station, constructed in 1989, serves a critical role in conveying wastewater to the water reclamation facility, as well as pumping and treating excess flow, which can result from heavy rains. This station collects almost all the flow from the northwest quadrant. In recent years, staff has developed concerns about the condition of the facility. Nearby residents have also reported increased exhaust, noise, and odor from the on-site generator, and staff has become a little concerned with the condition and long-term reliability of that generator. Also, the Motor Control Center, or MCC, think circuit breaker in your house, but instead of, 1x3, ours is 8 feet tall and 15 feet long. A key component of the station's electrical system has deteriorated and is in need of replacement due to its age, corroded condition, and lack of available replacement components. In an effort to address these issues, the village selected Ciorba Group in 2024 and developed a preliminary design report, or PDR. The PDR, completed in April 2025, included the following alternatives: install a new generator inside the building. This also includes the MCC replacement for $2.2 million. Install a new generator outside the building, which also includes the MCC replacement for $2.3 million, or just replace the MCC for about $1.3. That also includes other parts of the project. After reviewing the existing generator condition assessment and the feasibility of each alternative, village staff recommended proceeding with option 3, replacement of the MCC only. This option will include a much-needed update to the electrical system, consolidation of the SCADA and controls of the facility. This is due to separate controls and SCADA projects, when we bought new pumps or we bought a new piece of equipment, there's different SCADA and controls that got put in over the years, and we want to consolidate that all down to 1 or 2 panels. And this option should reduce generator-related disturbances by venting the exhaust through the roof of the building. The Department of Public Works and Engineering requests authorization to award the contract for the Deerfield Road Pump Station MCC Replacement Project to Siorba Group, Inc. in the amount of $108,126.80. This will include design, engineering, bidding assistance, and project management. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to take them at this time.
So, Brandon, this is simply the contract at Siorba to put this project together. This does not include the cost of the MCC?
Not at all.
Okay. My next question is, what is the expected life of the generator if we are not replacing that as well?
So as I mentioned, after reviewing the condition assessment, which the PDR included that, they talked with CAT, who is the service provider and the manufacturer of the generator itself. They're not concerned. They have a significant number of the same size and type of these generators throughout the Chicagoland area. They keep a large backlog of parts, and they can machine things and build them and have them ready for us. We were just concerned as we were getting toward a 30-year-old generator, hey, do we need to do something? This is starting to get old, but they, through the condition assessment and working with them, they said that we should have no concern that this can last for as long as generators last, which we can't get a good solid answer on how long that would be.
But we're not taking a chance in not replacing the generator as well.
We don't believe so. If that were the better option, then we would surely be saying, hey, we want good, solid backup power, but they're saying we shouldn't be concerned.
Did we take into consideration the noise level, given the neighbors are complaining about what we have now?
Well, most of the complaints are all due to the exhaust, so we have to run the generator once a week. We run it for, I think, 45 minutes, which is what's recommended, and we've had one resident that is, when that resident is home there and the wind is right, the exhaust can come down and then kind of fill up the area along the river under the trees. It's just how weather works sometimes. So in those conditions, we get a exhaust complaint, and then sometimes I think they're throwing in a noise complaint as well, because we're doing it at, I believe it's 9:30 or 10 in the morning on Fridays or Thursdays or whichever day it lines up with our maintenance schedule.
But it's infrequent, and there's a way that we could work with that resident so they wouldn't be around for it to bother them?
We have tried working with them. We added an exhaust pipe that went outside the building and straight up. One of the parts of the preliminary design report also gave an option of maybe we could put in some sort of catalyst inside of our exhaust pipe, which would not eliminate the odor, but would
burn it off.
Yeah, turn it down a little bit. So, and we're hoping as putting the exhaust straight through the roof, getting that even higher than it is now, we're hoping that'll reduce those issues that we get when the wind is just right and it pushes exhaust down into their backyard.
And Brandon, Your Honor, I remind the board what this pumping station does. It keeps sewage out of people's basements. So why do we have this $3 million, $4 million, $5 million investment? It's to keep sanitary sewage from backing up in people's basements. So
Right.
This is a really important thing, like the Warwick station.
Mm-hmm. So in everyday flow, we take all the wastewater from the northwest quadrant for the most part, and then pump it just down to the plant, which is only about a half a mile south. When we have wet weather events, lots of rain, we're actually treating wastewater there to the extent that the federal government and state government says we have to, and then discharging it right directly into the river right there. So if we aren't doing those things at this station, which is why backup power and direct power is so important, we're going to be backing up houses, dozens and dozens of houses very, very quickly. So we obviously want to avoid that at all costs.
Right. Right, and the facility has been there. I mean, Kent and I were talking about
1989, I think
here.
Warwick was 91. I'm going to be probably coming back in a year or two, and we're going to be asking for the same thing at Warwick since same condition.
How
Same-
much of
same
this is
machinery.
in the budget already, the $1.3 million?
Well, we're not
That I
doing
can't.
$1.3 million now.
The design portion, we have $150,000 for this year for the design portion, so we're obviously under that.
Construction, we need
Construction-
to see the result of the design, right? So it's part of next year's budget.
We put a placeholder in the budget.
Right.
That's what I'm asking. How much should we put in?
$500,000 over two, so 500,000 and 500,000, 500,000 in 26, 500,000.
So $1 million total.
So $1 million total. And we weren't sure until we got through the PDR, the preliminary design report.
Right.
We weren't sure what the scope of work would be.
Right.
So when we discussed this in committee of the whole, we talked about the generator replacement, the NCC replacement, and that we weren't sure what the scope was going to be until we got through that report.
Understood.
Which we went through painstakingly with the engineer, and it took a long time to kind of ferret out what the scope of work would be. And this is where we ended up. We think it's a really good scope of work.
Yeah.
We don't think the generator needs replacement.
Good.
We're happy. We're going to be happy with the replacement of the exhaust system. The engineer and the manufacturer of the generator are both really, they are not concerned with the condition of the generator, nor with the availability of parts. Though the MCC, which is the brain of the operation, it does need replacement. Just like you replace a laptop or any other electrical component that operates something, because it's 40, almost 40 years old.
And
So
how
that
quick?
portion of it does need replacement.
How quickly do you think it's going to get replaced?
Well, the lead time on an MCC of this size, we've been told, is around 26 to 30 weeks. So even if we get this designed, start on design tomorrow, get it done by the end of the year, then bid early 2026, we're still looking near late 26. I mean, we could even push it, so we set it up so we're going into 27 before we're actually cutting checks and paying bills for this project.
So we'd be covered by the 2 years. What about what happens if it fails before then?
Well, we already had a
I mean, that sounds like a long time.
We've already had a
for something
component
to be replaced.
right. So part of the reason we did this is we had a starter component fail.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 2 or 3 years ago, and it took us 2 or 3 weeks to find that
Right.
bucket, that
Okay.
piece. It's just really hard to find it. It's not impossible yet. If it was impossible, I'd be telling you that we need to fix this now, and I don't care what it costs, but we're not there yet.
Okay.
Hopefully, we can make it to 2027 and 2028 or so with Warwick. But yeah, that's where we're at.
Okay, fair enough. Just
Are we doing the same kind of budgeting for Warwick, knowing that the longevity, the lifespan of that equipment is kind of nearing its end?
Yes. I don't know if we had it in there already, but we'll be requesting it.
That's good.
That's why we do a 5-year plan. That's why we plan ahead 5 years at least on these capital costs.
It's a rookie question.
And just
Good one.
And just a reminder, remember this environment is a very acetic environment due to the sewage they're treating. So the air is acetic. It corrodes things faster than your home would do, right? So it's 30 years, 35 is probably awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
But still, it's not a typical residential application because there's more stuff floating in the air.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where is it?
Where is it?
It's on Deerfield Road. It's that brick building that looks like somebody's house right on the river.
On the south side of Deerfield Road.
Yeah.
On the south side of Deerfield.
By across like
It
from
looks
Maplewood.
like a house, and that was the intention.
Right?
It's supposed to look like a house.
If you blink, you'll miss it, and that's how we want it to be.
Okay.
It's on the
So
south
it's
side
right
of
here.
Deerfield Road, just west of the bridge.
Like by Maplewood, kind of.
Yeah.
It just looks like a brick home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was built specially to look like that.
Yeah.
So, and we've worked with Shorba before, and you're very happy with our relationship with them and their expertise in this area.
Right. We're very happy with our project manager. She's very knowledgeable and a go-getter. So we'd really prefer to go with them.
Other questions?
Sorry.
No? Well, in that event, can I get a motion for approving the resolution for the Deerfield Road Pumping Station MCC Replacement Engineering Services?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. David, we'll need a roll call.
Trustee Goldstone.
Yes.
Trustee Greenberg.
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby.
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Yes.
Trustee Benton.
Yes.
And Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, more public works, my favorite. Resolution to purchase outfitting for 3 5-ton dump trucks. This
Thank
is
you.
just the outfitting for the chassis we've already bought, right?
That's right. Thank you, Presiding Officer Oppenheim. So I apologize in advance for being wordy, but I'm going to kind of give you a little background on this one. So though we haven't had snow in a while, and we are always thinking about snow. When we have a major snow event or even a minor snow event, Public Works is all hands on deck, and so literally everybody comes in and we manage the snow event. In advance of everybody coming in, we have 4 lead trucks. And those 4 lead trucks are deployed well in advance. Those people that are in charge of those trucks, they stay throughout the entire event, and they basically manage the event. The 4 lead trucks are exactly what you would picture when you picture a snow plow. It's a big 5-ton dump truck, lots of rock salt in the back, a spinner in the back for deploying rock salt, and liquid tanks on the sides. So it's exactly what you see on state routes, on tollways, et cetera. Okay. As I mentioned, we have 4. We purchased one 5-ton salt truck in 2022, and it took 2 years for us to get that truck. And the reason why we purchased that truck in advance is because we wanted to purchase one, see if it had all the wingdings and the workings that we wanted on it, and make sure that it was the truck that we wanted and that it was outfitted the way we wanted it before we made a purchase of 3 additional. When we received that truck, we've had a chance to test it out. Obviously, it's a great piece of equipment. There are some things that we took off of it that we thought weren't necessary, and we won't. We haven't specified that in this quotation, but we did remove some things, being happy with that 5-ton salt truck, we were ready to move forward with the additional purchase of 3 more. That being said, all the trucks are part of the VERF, and so the Vehicle Equipment Replacement Fund is something that we'll have a lot of discussion about when we do budgeting here coming up. But it's basically it's a savings account where we take money and we put money into the savings account every year, and then at the end of, say, the 12 or 15-year lifespan of a piece of equipment, we have enough money to make a purchase. Sometimes it covers the entire purchase. Sometimes it doesn't cover the entire purchase. In this case, we're shy of having the complete dollar amount to make the purchase. But it is a great savings account for us to have in the village and money to put towards the purchase. That being said, these types of trucks, as Mary mentioned, are early. There's like a two-part purchase process. And so we purchased the chassis of the truck, and that the chassis were purchased and approved in February by this board. The chassis are state bid and are readily available, and so we made that purchase, and they were about $110,000 each. The second part of that purchase is where we take the chassis, the specifications of that chassis, and we shop it around with there's 3 vendors from the Midwest that do outfitting for large trucks or even medium and small sized trucks. So 2 of them are very responsive, 1 is not so responsive. So we're going with the responsive vendors, and the salespeople are ready to answer questions for us and provide detailed information on the equipment that we request. So the outfitting for the trucks is 1 hook truck and 2 regular trucks. The hook truck is similar to the one that we purchased in 2022, and the reason why it's called a hook truck is because it actually has a hook on the back above the cab, and that hook is able to grab on to a tank or a dumpster or a V-hopper for the salt, and different types of equipment. It can actually drop and pick up equipment very quickly. So We would like to purchase one more hook truck. That gives us 2 hook trucks, and then 2 non-hook trucks. And the hook adds a little bit of a price tag to it. I think it's about $40,000. And it's not necessarily the price that made us pull those off of the proposal, but we don't think we need 4 hook trucks. We think 2 will do us just fine. That being said, I look back at our budget information from 2025 when we put together our proposal and our memo that we outline some of the special purchases that we make. And we had this discussion with the village board. We mentioned with the village board that the 3 additional trucks would cost $800,000. So we're about $87,000 more than that. The price of steel has gone up. We're about 200% increase on steel. Lead time is still around 2 years. So the purchase that we're requesting today, though we have the chassis have been manufactured already, we won't see these trucks until 2026, maybe 2027. And so it's a long lead time on them. They take a long time to outfit. Right now the outfitters are pretty well backed up. Chassis are readily available, but the outfitters are kind of jammed up with making their modifications to these trucks. With that, so the outfitting for the 3 trucks, one's a hook truck, as I mentioned. That hook truck is $197,346. The 2 non-hook trucks are $358,248. That's for 2 trucks in total, and so the total purchase is $555,630. And with that, if the board should choose to do so, to approve the purchase, we would need to waive the bidding process, or the competitive bidding process for purchasing of the outfitting by Benella Industries for the 3 5-ton dump trucks, and then adopt the resolution authorizing the purchase outfitting the 3 trucks in the amount of $555,630. And with that, I would like to answer any questions you might have.
Are the chassis completed?
They either are or they will be soon, because I know they're going to be shipped directly to Benella Industries here.
That was my follow-up.
Fairly soon.
You need to take delivery.
Yes, we will.
Chassis.
We will need to take delivery, but we don't take the delivery here. Benella Industries will take the delivery and hold them.
Okay.
Oh, that's great.
I may have missed this, but why the recommendation not to go to competitive bid?
Okay, so there's a 2-part purchase for these trucks, and I'll just go over it again really quick. Okay, so the 2-part purchase is the first part is to purchase the chassis, and the chassis goes through competitive bidding.
Yes.
And it's a type of competitive bidding that's the state bid. Yeah. So literally, you go to a website and you're able to just check the boxes and pick out what you want. And so those chassis have already been, the prices have already been guaranteed, and you can purchase 6 different manufacturers, and they're all competitively bid. So anybody in the United States can really make that purchase. Okay. The second part is the outfitting, which is, there's no competitive bidding process for that. That is literally a custom build, and every public works truck that is 1 ton on up, even some of the 3/4 ton trucks are custom builds, and so the tollway is doing the same thing. The state is doing the same thing. The counties, it's the nature of the beast.
Okay. And Bob, talk a little bit about the difference in specs. Stainless steel dump bodies. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of things that add to the life of the vehicle, which is our intent, right? And these guys last us how long if we take care of them? 10 years?
So these trucks are pushing 15 years, and we've pushed them out because we weren't certain about making this purchase. We wanted to make sure we stepped into it very carefully. We bought the 1 truck, and in 2 years, last year, right. We wanted to make sure that it was the right thing, that we weren't going to spend $1.2 million on something that we hadn't tested. So we could specify a lot higher end equipment. We can go with stainless steel here and there. We can go with chrome. I would say, if you look at some of our neighboring communities, Buffalo Grove, Highland Park, Northbrook, we're kind of like right in the middle of the pack. There are a lot of trucks that are pushing 350, 400. There's some that are pushing 275, and we're like right in the middle of the pack. So we're not going high end, but we're kind of like right where we want to be.
But I think I'm trying to narrow down on the trustees' questions, which I completely appreciate, is some towns don't take care of their vehicles like we do.
Yeah.
I mean, we got 2 mechanics on staff. Some towns don't. They'll just take the tollway bid for a truck because they think that they don't have the resources to say, I want to spec something different because X, Y, and Z. And I think, Bob, what I'm asking you to say is we tailor our truck to what we think is best serving our community, and other places don't do that, and that means there's not a bid for a truck is different for us than it is for somebody else. But there's a whole process there.
Mm-hmm. It's true, and as I mentioned, our trucks are truly custom, and most municipalities are those outfitting builds are custom for what your desires are and for what your needs are. And as Kent mentioned, our mechanics are very particular, which is exactly what you want in a mechanic, because they look over every little bit of the truck, they look over every specification, and they spec exactly what they think the village needs.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it. I was just.
It's great. It's super great question. Super great question because a truck for Deerfield is a truck different than Cairo.
Right.
Right.
Because the world's different in Cairo, and so a state bid doesn't necessarily mean the same thing for us.
And these are super customized to fit what you have had experience with our needs, with the terrain here, and the kind of layout we have, and the streets, and besides the mechanics. So
there has been an awful lot of discussion internally about this.
Oh, I'll bet.
We are very certain that these are the trucks that we want, that the village needs, that will serve our needs the best. Yes.
Well, I appreciate the specificity of the bid sheets because there's a lot of information there. It's really something. So any other questions for Bob? Okay, so what we are looking at then is on this resolution is purchasing the outfitting of the 3 5-ton trucks that we have already purchased. So I'm looking for a motion to waive the competitive bid process for the purchase outfitting by Bunnell Industries for the 3 trucks, and to adopt the resolution authorizing the purchase of outfitting for the trucks in the amount of $555,630. Correct?
That's correct.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, and second. Okay, well, it's been moved and seconded, and we would like to vote now, David.
Trustee Greenberg.
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby.
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Yes.
Trustee Benton.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
And Trustee Goldstone.
Yes.
Thank you. And I would offer that if anybody has questions about equipment like this, or you want more information about our process, please feel free to contact me.
Or they want to ride in one.
That too.
I would love to see them if we ever get it.
Driving, no. Trustee, no. You can't drive one unless you're
CDL.
A whole new definition of trustee on the town.
Yeah, really. That'll be for the parade next year. Okay, our final piece of business is an ordinance amending Chapter 2 of the Municipal Code of the Village from 1975, as amended, regarding the prepayment of fines. Chris?
Yes. Maintaining this talk earlier, you mentioned about the administrative hearings and keeping that going and moving as many things as possible into there. The police department is right there at the finish line of getting involved, and part of that includes this prepayment of fines. So we're seeking an approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 2 as it relates to prepayment of fines with regards to the village administrative hearing system. The amendment of Section 2-187H would allow for alleged violators who are issued a violation notice stating that an appearance at a hearing is not required. They could plead guilty and pay a $100 reduced fine instead of appearing at the hearing. If the violator chooses to make that payment, they would not be required to appear, and this prepayment fine would still hold the violator accountable while not creating any sort of overburden on the hearing system itself. These would not apply to violations written for Chapter 6 building or Chapter 13 housing violations. There would be other local ordinance and vehicle code violations that are not regarding movement of traffic, so equipment, seatbelt, cell phones, those sorts of things. So based on this, the police department would recommend the approval of the ordinance amendment authorizing the prepayment of fines.
Questions?
I think it's a very effective tool to process the violations. Seen it in other municipalities. It streamlines the process, and it's effective. Do we have a hearing fee, a $50 hearing fee or anything like that, if the respondent wants a hearing?
I don't know that we
Yes.
do. Do we know what that number is?
It's $50.
So $50 hearing fee.
So I'm just thinking that that may be another incentive for people to pay fines and avoid
The $50.
a hearing if they know they're not going to be charged that hearing fee.
Yeah.
And again, I think Ben would tell us you got to have a reasonable number there. But the point is, if there's a violation we can test to and demonstrate, dude, you can not go to the hearing.
I'm all for unreasonable fines.
Yeah, we spoke.
Pay for our trucks.
We spoke at great lengths regarding this as we developed it, and felt that we found a great spot for this.
And again, as with adjudication, if the officer or the enforcing person feels this needs to go to circuit court, they take it to circuit court. If they feel that they're not being whatever, that's the severity or whatever. Right. But this gives us a tool so that we observe and document a violation. They can go this process, or they can choose not to. They can go to the circuit court. But this also gives them a way to deal with it. But we can also verify that they actually do, not continue to violate,
right.
or there's accountability.
Absolutely.
Seems efficient to me. So, any other questions? Can I get a motion then for an ordinance amending Chapter 2 of the Municipal Code regarding the prepayment of fines?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve this ordinance. David?
Trustee Jacoby.
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Yes.
Trustee Benton.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Goldstone.
Yes.
And Trustee Greenberg.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes.
Chris, thank you, and Ben
Thank you.
for working on this.
Thank you very much. That concludes our items of business tonight. Items for discussion for the quasi-mayor and the board. As the quasi-mayor, I must tell you what a great time everybody had on Family Days. And it was a success even with the rain and all the worry about, are we going to have to shut it down? I know that was pretty tense. And I want to thank everybody, all the amazing volunteers, the sponsors, the staff, all the participants. It just made it a really, really great day to remember. Special thanks to the commission, to Public Works. Everybody was out there. Every piece of equipment we had was blocking off a road somewhere. It was great. The police were everywhere on their bicycles, walking around, wearing those heavy vests in that heat. My heart went out to all of you. The fire department was out with all their equipment. The park district giving us their facilities and their staff and their help. It was fantastic. And everyone I spoke to for the fireworks on Thursday night, everybody had a great time. The evening was perfect. Everything went well. The fireworks were extremely appreciated. We did good. And the next day, all of the things that went on Friday were terrific. Special thanks to Justin Keenan and Jessica Sharetta for staying up all night and all day and strong-arming people and sweet-talking people and getting us through the day. And it was terrific. And I think everybody did appreciate it. Especially we're grateful to, we had platinum sponsorships from Guzman and Gomez, Alpha Graphics, Italian Kitchen, K9 Resorts, our brand new luxury dog hotel, Fortune Brands, Lakeshore Recycling for their support. It helped us put it on, and it was just great. So thank you. Food Truck Wednesday, we have in 2
This week?
days.
Do we know how many people came to fireworks?
We're guessing.
It was packed.
I think it was more than in years past.
It looks more.
That was everybody's observation.
Yeah.
And I noticed a whole lot of young people.
Yeah.
A whole lot of high school people, junior high school kids, which was terrific.
Amazing.
You know, to see them participating, you know, as a social event.
So we had folks at Shepherd Field, Brickyard Park, Keller Park, Greek School, Patty Stryker, you know, ice skating park. All that stuff was, people were in all of them, which is awesome. People are figuring it out, that that's a great place to watch a show. And I'm sure some of in the office parks to the south, which we also encourage, you know, if you want to drive and sit and watch, you can go to the office parks to the south.
Yeah.
In
And
the
that's
parking lot.
another opportunity too.
In the parking lot.
In the parking lots, yeah.
It was
Yes.
great.
Hello. Hi, Mayor and Board. I've got a quick video since we're recapping our wonderful family days this year. Let's see here.
And do we have any idea how many people attended the parade?
We never have a
That's
guess.
hard.
What we will talk about is there were 2 people deep versus pre-COVID 4 people deep, pre-Highland Park 4 people deep. So, but in those years it was 1 person deep.
Yeah.
So we're getting better. It's getting better. It's just
It seemed more crowded than last year.
It was.
Most
I do believe it was.
Yep.
And we had 67 parade participants this year compared to last year's 51. So I mean, we were like taking them like on July 3rd. We still had applications coming in. So
Yeah.
it's a really good turnout with that.
These are our fireworks, right?
Yes, these are all our.
Just make it all our stuff.
And as we did last year, the band stayed and played after the fireworks, which was a brilliant decision to have them stay. Yeah.
And Mary, we talked about the service clubs, the Optimist Club, the Lions
Yep.
Club, the Rotary Club. All those guys were park just super supportive of all the days, both days' activities.
It really does take a village.
That's-
Everybody was involved.
Yes, it does
Truly.
take a village.
My only regret is I never get to see the rest of the parade. We need to film the parade so we can see.
about that,
Oh,
Steph.
please.
Steph was talking
There you
about
are,
that
Mary.
today.
We are, Mary.
Yeah, there I am.
I think this is a good part to say thank you, David, for putting together this presentation, slideshow.
So fun.
We actually had people standing and cheering during the pie eating, screaming, "Eat the pie." It was terrifying.
Well done.
Great pictures. Really good.
It was terrifying. That's great.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say thank you to Public Works and police. You know, there's a lot of logistics, as well as the fire district. There's a lot of logistics and planning behind the scenes that nobody sees and whatnot. And thank you to Justin for kind of leading the way and showing me the ropes this year. It was my first year co-leading, co-managing Family Days. So, and of course, we wouldn't be able to do this without our village board. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jess.
Thanks.
Yes, a good, fabulous job done by all.
And expect a Family Days Commission report and recommendation coming typically in October, I think typically. So they assess and, evaluate what we did and how can we make it better, how can we do whatever. So anticipate before the end of the year a recommendation from the commission and an assessment of what took place.
And next year, we will not have roads torn up, theoretically.
We will not have roads torn up.
Or rain in the morning.
We're not intending to.
Or
the
rain,
village
hopefully.
is not intending to.
The rain at the race was.
We will not, Bob. We will not. We are planning on having food truck Wednesday this week, day after tomorrow. Rain is not predicted.
Oh, good.
He's shaking his head, but no rain. So hopefully we can spring into action and there will be music and activities for the kids.
9 trucks?
We've got 10 dessert or 10 mains and 3 desserts.
All right.
So 13.
That's a truck.
So come hungry. So that'll be Wednesday. Dan and I were really honored to attend the opening of Zion Woods. It was on the 26th, it was a week and a half ago, the ribbon cutting event. This is a project close to my heart and one that has been in process for, I
10
think,
years, 10 plus.
a little more.
Yep, 10
A
plus.
little more. And Larry was there with me on the Plan Commission, the first meeting where we... That's right. Remember? The first meeting, I mean, we started there, and it was a long journey. It was a long journey getting this process approved and planned, and everything that could go wrong seemed to go wrong. But it came together and it came to fruition, and this is a church that donated 10 acres of land to build 24 units of affordable housing and housing for people with disabilities. And this is a project that can be modeled all over the country. This is extremely unusual. It came together phenomenally. The buildings are there. People have moved in. At this ribbon cutting, one of the residents spoke and thanked everyone for giving her a safe place to live. It was just very touching, and a lot of the people who've been involved in it from the beginning were there. It really is something that we can all be proud of. So Dan and I were very honored to be there on the 26th, and there is going to be an event on July 12th, a welcome event for the residents, the people who are living in Zion Woods. A lot of the community organizations are going to get together and have booths and present to them and tell them what kind of services and what kind of organizations there are and what kind of support there is for them here in the community and make them feel much more welcome. So I think that's terrific too. So we're continuing our association with them. So I also wanted to make an announcement that we're very excited about, us greenhouse gas people. Launching in the middle of this month, probably in another week and a half, 2 weeks, we are going to be launching the Green Energy Partnership Program. And it is a way for local businesses to source 100% green energy. The village is sponsoring a broker who's going to work with retail energy suppliers to provide businesses with quotes for where they can get 100% renewable energy at the same or maybe even a lower cost than they're paying now. So there'll be no broker's fees to the businesses. Okay. This is our sponsorship. We are paying the commission for the broker. And we will be the first community in Illinois to offer a program like this to the business community. Because about 70% of the energy that we use here is used by commercial entities. It's not used by the residences. It's used by businesses. This can represent a really huge step for us to transition to renewable energy and hopefully, get us towards our sustainability goals. We want to convert 100% of electricity to renewable and reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 45% by 2030. So we're pretty excited about this. We're hoping that businesses do sign up once we roll this out. The key is for them to participate. But we have programs like this for residential customers, for our residents, but we've never been able to do anything like this for the commercial market. So we're pretty excited. We've got our fingers crossed, and I want to thank everybody, Elaine, Andrew, Jessica, who works with the Dan, the Greenhouse Gas Working Group, who's worked to put this together. So we're excited about that. What else you got?
Nothing further. It's been a really active, as you might anticipate, many days for staff, and we appreciate the board's support, and we feel it, and just know that the team really enjoys when things come together, and this one came together over the last several days. It was awesome. But so let us exhale for a couple of days before we jump back into it again, and just know that there's a lot of lessons learned that will be coming back and figuring for next year. But super appreciative of the team's effort, and super appreciative of all the trustees showing up at the parade, which was awesome. It's an inspiration. You guys endorse it, we support it, and we're coming back from a couple of dark years, and to be there in person is awesome. So thank you very much. Nothing else.
All right. Anyone else have anything? That being the case, I'd love to hear a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right. Thank you. All in favor, everybody.